Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrea Bursler, Executive Director for Carroll County Public Library. On behalf of CCPL and the Likely Story Bookstore, we welcome all the families joining us from across the state. We especially want to thank Workman Publishing for this evening's program and our many partner libraries who are here with us this evening. Allegheny County, Anne Arundel County, Baltimore County, Calvert, Cecil County, Charles County, Enoch Pratt Free Library, Howard County, Prince George's County Memorial Library, Queen Anne's County Library, St. Mary's, Talbot County, Washington County, and Worcester County. It's 14 partners with us this evening, and we welcome you all to virtual Carroll County. Tonight, we are delighted to present Rio Cortez, the New York Times best-selling author of the ABCs of Black History. She was born and raised in Salt Lake City, but now writes, lives, and works in Harlem. After Rio's story time, we'll have time for some questions. Just type your questions and comments in, and we'll get to as many of them as we can this evening. We also want to remind you that copies of the book are available for purchase from our wonderful friends at a Likely Story bookstore. So please join me in welcoming Rio Cortez.
Hello, thank you so much, Andrea. I'm so delighted to be here with Carroll County Public Library and a Likely Story, and I look forward to reading the book with you. I think we found a way where you can see the images while I'm reading it, so I don't have to hold it up, which I'm not so good at, but here's my little note inside. Here it is, and then I think the screen is coming up now, so you can follow along together. So the ABCs of Black History is a long rhyming poem, and my background is actually in poetry, and this is my first picture book, and it is dedicated to my daughter, and this is a poem that I wrote for her when I was pregnant that became this book. So we'll get started. A is for anthem, a banner of song that wraps us in hope, lets us know we belong. We lift up our voices, lift them and sing. From stages and street corners, let freedom ring. B is for beautiful. I'm talking to you. Your voice, your height, your hair, your hue. B is for brave, for bright and for bold, for those who stood up even when they were told to step back, stand down, remember their place. B is for brotherhood, for believing in grace. C is for community, where we live, laugh, and eat, and for church, where we worship, mourn, sing, and meet. Did you hear Reverend King preach on his dream of civil rights, human rights, a powerful theme? D is for diaspora, pulled from our homes. We were carried away in ships on the foam to Haiti, Cuba, America, Brazil. Our names are different, new, but still. We are connected, then, now, forevermore, to that long ago, far away African shore. E is for explore, to study a place, like Matthew Henson, the Arctic, Mae Jemison, space. E is for education, for expanding the mind, like Ruby Bridges, Linda Brown, the Little Rock Nine. The first Black children in all-white schools, they opened the doors and challenged the rules. F is for food, grown and farmed with our hands, worked and tilled and pulled from the land, for fried fish, ham hocks, warm buttermilk bread, or maybe the sharp taste of mustards instead. F is for folklore by the light of the moon, for family, for freedom, for jumping the broom. G is for go, towards cities we were bound, for the great migration from country to town. From farming the land to the factory floor, we carried the blues on our backs, not much more. H is for Harlem, those big city streets. We walked and we danced to our own jazzy beat. When Louie and Bessie and Duke owned the stage, and Langston and Zora Neale Hurston the page. I is for imagine, invent, innovative, for all of the ways we are so creative. And there's some portraits of Jean-Michel Basquiat, Gwendolyn Brooks, Alvin Ailey, Madam C.J. Walker, George Washington Carver, and D.J. Kool Herc. J is for Juneteenth. We were finally free, or so we hoped in this moment of glee. J is for Juve, when the drummers drum drum, from Trinidad, Grenada, and Haiti they come. Oh my gosh, sorry. K is for kin, our fathers and mothers, our ancestors, elders, our sisters and brothers. K is for Kwanzaa, which honors that bond. Ask Habari Gani and we might respond. And these are the principles of Kwanzaa, which I won't read all of, but they're small on the far right page. L is for love. L is for love. L is always for love. And these are more portraits. It's hard to see their names. This is Marsha P. Johnson with the flower crown, Ashley and Rose, which is a really touching story, the loving family, Aussie and Ruby, and the cowboy on the far right bottom, Nat Love. M is for march, for lifting our feet, taking the movement, the cause to the street. Black Lives Matter, every breath, every dream, every thought, each idea, each impossible scheme. The might of our message is easy to hear. The drumbeat of hope is louder than fear. And Lauren, the illustrator here, you can sort of see marchers and protesters on the top left that go throughout history to present day down to the bottom right, which I think is nice. N is for newspapers. We started our own to tell our stories and let it be known. We deserved the front page. We deserved to be seen and to also be featured in slick magazines. O is for organize, for getting together, to sit in and boycott and make our lives better. Thank you, Fred Hampton. Thank you, Diane Nash, for not being afraid of the possible clash with police and people who shouted and teased, because of you, we can go where we please. P is for power. It's part of our core. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it must roar. Like a panther. Isn't that right, Huey P? Power for people like you and like me. And who do you think has more power than most? The president. Obama was first to that post. But Shirley Chisholm, unbossed and unbought, came so much closer than most people thought a Black woman could, which just goes to show. P is for possible, so glow on, child, glow. Q is for queens. Behold and bow down. Shield your eyes from the shine of their crowns. And there are some figurative queens here, like Toni Morrison, Angela Davis, Ruby Hurley, and Michelle Obama, Leontine Price. And then there are some actual queens that are there, Nefertiti, Ya Asantewa, Queen Nandi, and Queen Amina. R is for rise, to reach for the top, relentlessly striving, refusing to stop. like ball players, boxers, and gymnasts who fly, sprinters and skaters who zoomed right on by, old records, old thinking, a sight to behold. They went for the win and grabbed for the gold. S is for scientists who charted the stars, studied the bees, took care of our hearts. For Benjamin Banneker, Patricia Bath, for Katherine Johnson's beautiful math. S is for soul, how sweet the sound, from the croon of Sam Cooke to the wail of James Brown. Brother Ray on the keys, Sister Tharp dressed in mink, and Queen Aretha sang, "You Better Think." T is for Tuskegee, an all-Black school where students learned trades and toiled with tools. "That's how we will rise," said Boss Booker T, but another smart man just didn't agree. W.E.B. Du Bois said, "Industry's fine, but I think it's better to work on your mind." They had different ideas, but here's what's true. In their own ways, they were thinking of you. U is for United States. This story is tough. The birth of a nation was deadly for us. We the people, in the land of the free, no one who was enslaved would agree. U is for unbroken, unshaken, unbound. Like Harriet Tubman, who went underground, took back her freedom and freed hundreds more, then was a spy in the Great Civil War. But when the states were united again, the fight for our freedom and lives didn't end. So U is for unfinished, this American tale. With courage and strength, we will prevail. V is for vote. Do you know what that means? The freedom to pick and choose as you please. The freedom to choose who makes the rules, who has the power, who gets the tools to make their lives better. That's why we fight. The freedom to vote is a true civil right. W is for writers whose wisdom and words bring to life worlds where our voices are heard. Rappers and poets and songwriters too, all those who spin from our point of view. And there's some writers' names on all these books like Bell Hooks and Amiri Baraka, Julius Lester, Ralph Ellison, Richard Wright, Alan Locke, great folks. X is for Malcolm, Malik El-Shabazz, known also as Red Malcolm Little El-Hajj. By any means necessary, he insisted on change. Starting with X, he reclaimed his name. And this is a timeline of Malcolm X's life, starting when he was born Malcolm Little in Nebraska to him at this podium in 1950. Y is for young, gifted, and Black, like Lady Lorraine, who never looked back. She wrote of big dreams in rooms so small, it's hard to believe they were dreamed in at all. Lorraine and her work moved Nina Simone so much that Nina made work of her own, young, gifted, and Black, a banner of song that wraps us in hope, lets us know we belong. Z is for zenith, the highest, the peak, the top of that mountain King said we would reach. He won't get there with us, but still we march on, rising, rising like the sun with the dawn. Thank you. That's the end of those pages. And I think I'll talk with Shelby a little bit from Carroll County.
So if there's any additional comments or questions, we can post them in the chat below. We'll give it a few minutes. We had one question on Facebook. Will this be available for later to watch? Yes, it will be available later. So you can rewatch it as many times as you'd like. Other than that, I don't see any other comments at the moment. We'll give it a minute in case people are still typing them.
Sure. Sounds good.
Ria, why don't you talk a little bit about why you wanted to write a children's picture book, if you could?
Sure, yeah. Well, like I said, my background is in poetry, so that's what I have been writing. That's what I went to school for. And then when I worked for a little while for the last 3 years at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture. It's in New York. It's in Harlem, where I live. It's part of the New York Public Library, and it was just a great resource to archives from incredible people in Black history, and so that was really inspiring to me to be around. And I'm not much of a formal historian or scholar, and so the way I think that I processed that inspiration was through writing poetry, and I thought it was a great opportunity to write a poem for children that sort of touched on some of the figures in Black history that maybe were less available to me or whom I hadn't heard about until later as an adult. And I thought a lot about, how exciting it would have been to sort of have some notion of all the incredible contributions that Black Americans had made earlier on in my life. And I feel like that impression would have been really valuable. So that's something that I wanted to provide with this children's book.
Awesome. We've gotten a lot of praise. Thank you for such an amazing book. Eliza says, "You're awesome. Everyone needs to read this and hear this and read it." And if you're looking to purchase, the book, you can find that at a Likely Story bookstore in Sykesville. You can purchase it from them. Eliza also says she learned a lot, and we have a question from YouTube. Amy, were there any events or people you wished had been included that were not in the book?
Oh, that's such a good question. Yes, probably a lot of folks, or there are at least people who. So I'll share with you guys that. So there's the pages of the book that we just saw, and then luckily for me, the people that I had wanted to include in the poem that I didn't, we got to put in all this back matter. So there's like about 5 pages of back matter like this, and so you can kind of see where you can kind of go a little deeper or maybe even get some context. So like, for example, Lauren, who illustrated it, like for the letter U, if you're not familiar, the flag there, you'll notice is the colors of the Pan-African flag, and is a David Hammond's piece of art. And so you'll find all that stuff in the back matter, but also it kind of gives me an opportunity to talk a little bit more about folks that I couldn't quite make work in the text of the poem, but that I think are really important to talk about when we talk about Black history. So thank you for that question.
Looks like we have another question from Lorraine. Were you the illustrator, and what was the design process?
No, I wasn't the illustrator. Lauren Summer is the illustrator. It's hard because you don't see the cover. And it's her debut also. And it was so bizarre. I wrote the book for about 2 years, I guess, and Lauren worked on illustrations for about 2 years, and we never met until a couple of weeks ago, where we coincidentally ran into each other at a bookstore. So the process worked. So I wrote the manuscript, and then my editor we would go back and forth with revision, and she would send pages of the manuscript to Lauren, who illustrated them. And then she would share Lauren's illustrations with me, and we would kind of go back and forth like that. And so she might say something like, "Oh, we don't actually have to say this because Lauren is going to show this in her illustration," or Lauren, we revised this page, and so now we need you to draw these portraits of individuals because they won't be in the text. And so that's kind of how we went. And our editor is an incredible Black editor at Workman named Tracy Todd, who's their editorial director. And she herself is very knowledgeable about Black history, so she was a really great resource.
Great. Let's see. So a lot of praise coming in as well. Wonderful book with great illustrations. Have you ever considered writing another children's book?
Yeah, I have. I'm just finishing one up now about Yoruba Orishas. So
Awesome.
yeah.
And we're all looking forward to that.
Thank you.
I don't see any more questions at this point. Just some more positive comments about it's more than just a kid's book. Loved it and be telling everyone about it, which is great.
That's great. Yeah, I would say my mom, who is an adult woman, obviously, she's always joking that there are a lot of folks that she didn't know in the book. And so her and our neighbors back where I'm from have been diving deep into Black history for adults. There are not children among them, but they're doing some self-education, which has been really fun for them.
Great. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Andrea.
Great. Thank you, Shelby.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. Thank you so much, Rio. That was a wonderful story and a wonderful way to introduce people to all of the amazing people who are involved in Black history. And like you said, people that names that you might not be familiar with. And now I want to go look them all up. The ones I don't know. And go, oh, what did they do? What did they do? So it was great. And I love the illustrations. Your illustrator did a great job of capturing, I think, the essence of your words. So I really am looking forward to seeing what your next children's book looks like. And make sure you come back to Carroll County when you're done with it.
I definitely will. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. We did have one last question that showed up here in chat. Did the editor suggest the back matter, or was that something that you planned from the start?
I think she suggested it when I started lamenting, like, how are we going to fit all these people that I need to fit into this text? And she said to me, why don't we do back matter? I don't think we planned for it to be as long as it is. Like I said, it's about 5 pages, but she was really generous with giving me the space to expand a little bit on those ideas.
It's a great way to discover all of the wonderful stories and the wonderful people that are involved in Black history. And it's really timely. And it'll make a wonderful addition for an awful lot of events during February. We have a Black History Month, and people can use this as a great introductory piece, not just for kids. So I love it. I want to thank you for joining us this evening. And thank you for spending some time with us here from Harlem in rural Maryland. Thank you to the libraries who are our partners with this particular event, and to Workman Publishing for making it happen. We're going to call it an evening here in Carroll County. And thank you all on Facebook and YouTube and all for joining us. We will record this program. We did record it, and it will be posted for everyone to watch at another time. So if you want to hear Rio read the story again, you can do that. But thank you all for joining us, and we do hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, everyone.